All right, so all our case prep is done. As you can see, all of those case mouths are nice and concentric. The edge of the case mouth, they are all nicely deburred and chamfered. So we are ready to proceed with our loading. As I mentioned before, we're using Federal Gold Medal Match large rifle primers. Loading 20 cases. I will be using a Dillon Precision Flip Tray. I love this thing over the plastic ones that you can find. This one is aluminum and it just feels nice. Plastic ones work, I just really prefer the Dillons. So we get them all primer compound side up, put the lid back on, flip it over, and voila, our primers are ready to be picked up. So here's the primer pickup tube we're using. This will work with both the Hornady lock and load ammo plant that I have, as well as the trusty benchtop RCBS hand primer. So this end is used to pick up the primers. This will keep it in place, keep all of them in the tube until you're ready to dump them in. Definitely don't lose these. They're kind of a pain in the ass to come by. So here goes. There we go. You will most always get one stuck in the end. Just be very careful when pushing that through. I just use a screwdriver, not the tip of it, but I just push it down ever so gently with the edge just to get it to break there and fall down into the tube. So this guy here is the RCBS benchtop priming system, and I gotta say, I absolutely love this guy. The primer tubes go right into the tool. It does come with a large and small primer seating tools, and it uses standard shell holders, which is really nice. So you have to put the shell holder on first, and then choose your primer tool. I like to make sure that it's nice and tight. This right here is just spring loaded. That'll catch the primer, and as you come up, it will just push the primer right into the case, just like that. Drop that in there, pull your little pin, and now the primers are ready to go. So you get a lot of feel with this tool. As you can see, this one is not quite seated enough yet. It will rock on the table. So we need to go a little bit more just below flush. And I can feel it seat in right there, and that is absolutely perfect right there. Just barely below flush, does not wobble on the table. It is good to go. It is absolutely perfect. Again, I could feel it initially when it set into the primer pocket, and then when it fully seated, I could feel it there. So again, absolutely perfect. And I do have a checking each one just to make sure I don't have any holes. Just like that. And last one done. So very consistent and very quick once you get into your groove. I really like that tool. All right, well, on to powder charge. So we will be loading 45.1 grains of Shooter's World Precision Rifle. I do like to mark my jugs. So this is jug number 1 out of the lot that I purchased. And I have already loaded 676.5 grains from this jug. So that doesn't account for spillage or anything like that, but it does give me a good idea that I've probably used 10% of this 1 pound jug already. And that was doing load development on this rifle for my upcoming elk hunt. So, as you can see, I have an Omega trickler set up in the back. The Omega trickler is really nice because it is literally just a little vibratory motor in there. And I don't know if you can hear that, but when I press button 1, it vibrates mildly. When I press button 2, it vibrates a lot more violently. The nice thing is I'm able to use my Frankfurt Arsenal powder dropper to get me very close in the powder charge that I need, and then I can trickle up using the Omega trickler. The nice thing, as you can probably have noticed, is I do have the contraption right here. That's a webcam. I'm gonna pan you guys up. Don't mind the mess on my second shelf. But as you can see, that webcam is, the image is very blown up on my TV that I have in here. It's at 720p resolution, which is more than enough. The nice thing is I don't have to get down on level and bring my eye directly in line with that indicator down there. That saves my back, number 1, and my neck and my eyesight because it is much larger. So I will be using my Frankfurt Arsenal powder drop, which works actually really, really well. And I will be using my webcam to make sure that I do get the exact powder drop that I am looking for. With this setup, I'm able to see 1 kernel of powder resolution in my powder drops, which, granted, it's not super cool like an A&D FX 120 with the auto trickler, but this gets me probably as close as you'll ever need with 1 kernel resolution, and I've never had any issues with it. So, and it saves me a bunch of money. So it's probably going to look a little funny here for a second, but I do have you in wide mode. I'm going to try to get all of this in as best I can. So, start from scratch here. I am going to drop a charge weight into the pan, set it on the beam scale. Granted, if that wasn't an overcharge, which it was not, it was close to right on, but not exactly perfect. So I'm going to use my Omega trickler to drop just a little bit of powder until I get extremely close. Then I'm going to drop 1 kernel at a time until I am absolutely spot on, 100% perfect. And that right there is probably closer than any auto charger will ever get you to, with the exception of the A&D. So now that we have our first powder charge set, I'm going to just charge case number 1, give it a couple of taps just to make sure everything is settled down in there, and I have plenty of leftover case volume to seat the bullet without getting too much of a crunch. Now, charge number 2. Same deal. Set that on there. Let it settle ever so slightly. And then use the Omega and trickle until it is perfect. Right about there. Don't forget to move your funnel. 2 taps, just out of habit, and I'm on to the next one. So to give you guys an idea, and granted, you're just slightly below, right on level with the television, so you are at a slight angle. I'm going to go ahead and start trickling up, and you can see how quickly the indicator will move up with the powder pouring into the pan. That's probably 5 kernels at a time. When I get close, I use button number 1, drop 1 kernel, another kernel, 1 more kernel, there's another one, there's another one, and I think we are right about perfect. I don't know how much better you can get personally. It's a little more effort than the auto trickler, the V3s, based on the A&D scales, but man, that is that's about as close as I think I'll ever need personally. And these extreme hardcore gear funnels, man, these are really nice. You don't get any static cling whatsoever. You don't get any powder dams, so everything just flows in. Extremely easy. All right, to give you guys a close-up of the Omega in action, throw my powder charge here, drop the pan onto the scale, and literally start trickling up. So that's got the beam moving. I'm going to try to get it almost there. Which, if it's within the last, or the bottom 2 hash marks right below the 0, that's about when I'll start feeding it with the number 1 button. And you can see I'm able just to drop like 1 kernel, boom, 1 more kernel. Just gives a lot of control. And let's go 1 more kernel. There we go. And that's a perfect powder charge in my eyes. All right, there's the last one. On to bullet seating.